Okay, we're back. How many hotkeys and camera locations, and for what? But that really depends on your style, and I would encourage you to kind of build that up gradually from whatever your starting point is. So, if you are a brand new player, having a main army hotkey, a hotkey for your production, and maybe a hotkey for a caster group. Safe. Just 3 hotkeys for your control groups. And you could even use base camera. Let me go into the game, show you the base camera function. Options, hotkeys, global, camera, base camera. I don't actually have it bound because I use camera location hotkeys. But base camera is just a single button. You could bind to spacebar, and you just press spacebar and it'll cycle through your bases. It's a very easy way to kind of manage your camera and address your macro across your territory. What would you suggest to improve multitasking when you're starting out StarCraft 2? So multitasking often involves being able to divide your forces between different locations. So part of that can rely on control groups, but also working on your box micro, where say a player drops you in 2 locations at the same time. One aspect is filling vision on the map so you know the attack is coming in, and another aspect is saying, alright, box this army, this is big enough to deal with these drops here, go over here. And then box some other army, go over here to fight this. And then kind of managing those fights as they're happening, and then looking at the mini-map at the same time. There's no really easy way of making your multitasking better. A lot of it just comes down to internalizing each task a lot better. We don't really multitask that much. Mainly it's about doing a sequence of tasks really quickly. So you address this, 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 and this. You didn't do them all at once. You did them one at a time, but you try to do them faster and faster over time. I use camera location hotkey inject. So I bind all my base cameras at the beginning of the game, and then I go base 1, select the queen, inject base 2, etc. How do you deal with excessive BM? I usually say TYBM, thank you BM, good game well played, good luck, have fun next game. If someone is being very, very BM, giving them like a very flat response where you're not addressing any of the attacks that they made against you, like they could do personal attacks, they could use slurs, they could maybe be very prideful and talk themselves up a lot, just as if nothing particular were going on at the time, being very basic and almost robotic with your manner really removes a lot of momentum from them. Another kind of cheeky approach is to like talk them up a little bit. You can steal their thunder in a way. People who are being BM and kind of talking about how they're amazing, you could be like, yeah, that was stupendous. You're really fantastic. You might be the foreign hope. You're a gift to the scene, and I'm so thankful for your participation. I'm not using the add steal, create steal functions yet. They are going to be more efficient for certain actions within the game, but I use a ducky keyboard and I can't bind my function keys to stuff, so I haven't integrated that yet. So F1 to F4, I used to use F1 through F6, but I switched to the core, so my current camera locations are like combo modifiers. I press Control-Shift-J, Control-Shift-I, Control-Shift-O, and P, LK, semicolon. For a basic kind of mechanics approach, just place your hand on the keyboard as you're going to play StarCraft, and think about options that you have that are comfortable reach for your hand. So you want to have things as tight as possible so you don't have to move your fingers as far, and then maybe creating some combinations of keys. Like with the core, you can press Control and Shift at the same time with your thumb. So that allows you to keep your hand much more localized at one point on the keyboard. I'm at the CSN team house in Atlanta. Minimims wants to get rid of the whole army hotkey. Like the all army hotkey F2. Just open up a custom game and do it in an empty game. Like set up all your hotkeys, get maxed out with a composition that you want to work on, and then just micro your units around. When I switched to the core, I would just play in empty games, and I would max out with Vipers, Infestors, Roaches, Hydras. So I have my Roaches and Hydras on the main army, but Hydras get their own hotkey. So I'd micro my army, go over here. Hydras go back, and then the whole army go. And then the Hydras would naturally follow the Roaches, and then you double tap the Infestors, maybe Fungal, double tap the Vipers, Blind. Practicing your hotkeys outside of ladder matches is really useful. How do you take a loss? Usually I will say, fantastic performance, excellent work to the opponent, and then I will leave the game, and then the first thing I'll do is I'll look at the worker's active graph and see when and where I fell behind. So I'll say, alright, worker's active, cool. I had an economy lead here, but at some point I lost a lot of workers. Army value graph. I seem to have more army here, but I traded much worse than the opponent. So this would indicate a spot where I can go into the replay and review this engagement. So, like the post-game procedure for a loss, you'll be less emotional about the loss if you're more logical and detail-oriented with the data that's presented in the game. Aside from playing games, is there any way to use a mental checklist that is crisp and efficient for your mechanical skill? Mental checklist for mechanics? I would say doing drills in the game. So arcade. Violet actually has some post-it notes on his monitor. One says spread creep, one says like inject, and then another one is build supply. So that's a way of kind of having an exo-brain approach where you have something outside the game that's helping you or reminding you to do stuff. CanJack, as players get better and better, the APM is less and less spam, but there's definitely quite a bit at the beginning of the game. How come your army isn't selected when you hit F2? Well, that might be because it's not bound to the all army function in the game. I haven't streamed yet. I'm not sure that I will. I only slept for like 3 hours. It's good here. Polt is away on vacation, so I'm just here with Violet at the moment. CanJack, you could get to GM with 100 APM with any race. APM is very overly hyped in the scene. APM is a resource that allows you to perform more actions in the game, but increasing your ability as a player is about making intelligent actions rather than like just lots of actions. I spent some time writing the outline for this and then had some difficulty falling asleep. EPM, effects per minute. Yeah, I think the selection function counts as performing actions in the game, which doesn't actually accomplish very much. So you could select your hatches, select your army, select your hatches, select your army really fast, and that'll inflate your APM. Yes, I do have an exercise routine. I will link the yoga stuff that I'm doing. I do one yoga session at the beginning of each day. It's about 20 to 30 minutes. Good way to get the body warmed up, to kind of make sure your breathing is correct. Get a nice stretch in, especially if you're going to be sitting down for a while. Cool. I think we've addressed most questions, and we're at about an hour and 45 minutes, which is on the longer side for these episodes. So I think I'll be wrapping things up here. Any further questions before we close? How close to having a shot at the championships? I'm quite far away. I am, or before they like kicked everyone out of GM, I was like ranked 93 GM on NA, which is still pretty far from Challenger League. Challenger League would be like top 30 GM on NA maybe. Like those people have a pretty clear opportunity to make Challenger League, so I have a ways to go. Challenger League is far from the championships. It goes GM level player, and then you have EU GM, Korea GM, Challenger League, Premier League. I haven't played any games since they kicked everyone out of GM yet, but I was ranked 93 GM, so I'll probably get back in. The Lycan show will resume very soon. It was kind of on a hiatus for the holidays, but they'll be back to the normal schedule. Thank you everyone for viewing and participating. Good luck, have fun in your games. Stay zen, keep it real.